Okay, this is our next mini lecture on section 3.5, and this time we're looking at a application problem. So we are going to look at exercise number 23 of Lehman's book, and we're going to be looking for what the dependent variable is and its units, what the independent variable is and what its units are, and then we're going to create a model that shows us dependent equals baseline plus rate of change times the independent units. And what you're seeing here is in a unit analysis that's going to help us keep all those things in the right places. And then based on the model, we want to identify the baseline and the rate of change. So we're going to look at those units, like I said, to identify those. And then we're going to create the linear equation. So let's go ahead and take a look at his exercise. So, oops. There we go. A person drives her Toyota Prius on a road. At the start of the trip, she fills up the 11.9 gallon tank with gasoline. During the trip, the car uses about 0.02 gallons of gasoline per mile. Let G be the number of gallons of gasoline remaining in the tank after driving D miles. So the first thing that we see is that after we drive, we get gasoline remaining. So that must mean that it's being the dependent, right? So after something happens, this is what we get. So the dependent is going to be our G, which is equal to the number of gallons of gasoline. So number of gallons of gasoline, and this is left, and it's left after, and we have some D miles, another way that we can indicate which one that is. Now the next thing that we want to identify is our independent. Well, the number of miles is going to be our independent because we're driving the miles and then getting some number of number of gallons of gas left. So D is the miles driven. Now after that, what we have going on is we have to go back and look at what I asked us to get. So we have creating a model using the dependent units and the independent units to create the baseline and the rate of change times the independent. And so we have looking here, we say that she fills up 11.9 gallons. Well, gallons means that is what our units of our independent or of our dependent are. See this units here? So gallons is the dependent units. So if that's the dependent units, then that must be the baseline. So the baseline is how much she fills up with, which is the 11.9 gallons of gas. And then from there, what we have is we have the rate of change that we're interested in. Well, the rate of change will have independent units in the denominator and dependent units in the numerator, right? So it'll look like dependent over the independent. So what we have going on there is the 0.02 gallons of gasoline per mile, because that's our units, right? So we have gallons and then per mile. And so that tells us that our rate of change is the 0.02. And this is R of C. And now once we have all of those things lined out, what are dependent, what are independent, what our baseline, and what our rate of change is, we can just simply put the model together, and we will.